Today I'll be showing you a single sign-on in the Contact Center Enterprise platform. I'll be showing the activation steps from a system where SSO is not running to a system where SSO is fully operational, and we'll see the different SSO deployment options. Rather than pre-configure each step prior to showing the demo, I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the demonstration. We'll experience the errors that occur when items aren't configured, and we'll go ahead and do those configurations along the way. As I begin here in the Ucc Administrator, you'll notice that I am logged in as administrator along the top here, top right, and you'll notice that I am in a UCCE 4000 agent Rogger deployment. As you look at the inventory list here, you can see I have a couple of AW processes at the top, and I also have a couple of finesse processes. One of the first things that I need to do in the configuration is I need to establish a connection from my contact center and the IDS inside the contact center environment out to the IDP, and I do that with the AW. So I'm going to go ahead and select this AW, and I'm going to tag it to be the principal AW, which establishes it as the AW that would make that connection to the outside. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I get a confirmation with a check at the top saying that that was completed. I'm going to go ahead now and go to the new SSO tab. And the first issue that I encounter is that I need to have my identity service established. So I'm going to click on the hot link to the inventory. And what I need to do to establish my identity service is I've got to create a new publisher with CUIC, which is this item, CUIC LD IDS Publisher. And I'll save that. Again, once that's done, I get the checkbox in the corner showing me that that's complete. I can now go back to my SSO tab. And now that those initial configuration steps are completed, I receive an SSO workflow here with the next steps that I need to complete, and that is that I can configure my IDS, I can register the IDS, I can test SSO, and then I can set the various SSO modes. So I'm going to begin by configuring the identity service by clicking on the hot link here for Identity Service Management. And I need to log on to this environment. And then I'm presented with the Identity Service Management screen. And you'll notice on the navigation bar, I have three options. I can look at the nodes, I can look at their settings, or the settings of the system, and I can look at clients. And you'll notice that my two CUIC systems are both in service now. If I click on settings, this gives me the ability to start configuring my IDS. I have the ability here to download the metadata file. I have the ability then to upload that back to my system, and by doing this operation, I'm establishing the trust relationship between the identity provider outside the contact center and identity server, which is inside the contact center environment. Once I've made that connection, I now have a test that enables me to exercise SSO to test that connection. and I receive a confirmation with the checkbox that SSO is operational. You'll notice that at the top right, I also have a couple of other tabs. I have a security tab. This enables me to manage the expiration timers for my security tokens. So this enables me to either tighten up or loosen how quickly those become expired. I also have a troubleshooting tab here, which lets me get information about different log levels that I want to collect and pull information in for troubleshooting purposes. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. I'm going to log off and exit this tab. And back on my UCC Administration SSO tab, I'm now ready to register the system. And you'll notice in the inventory list of processes at the bottom of the page, we've got registered column, test status column, and the SSO mode column. So I'm going to attempt to register these systems, and as the systems register, those dark circles will change to green check marks. But before I can do that, I have a challenge, which is that now that I have created my identity service and I've done that configuration, I haven't yet connected the AWs and those finesse processes to know about that IDS. So I need to take that action, and I've received a warning message about that. So if I click on the system inventory, I can go to these AW processes, and I need to just specify the process for my connection into the IDS. So I'll do that. And again, I receive a confirmation at the top that that operation completed. I'll now go back to my SSO screen, and you'll now see that the systems have registered successfully. In that first column in the inventory, I see green check marks. So the next step is to test those connections. And so the system's going to cycle through now for each one of those and test the SSO connection. And again, as those become successful, those dark circles will switch to green check marks. So we now see that the testing is completed. I've received my green check marks. So SSO is now established on the system. It's not operational yet, though. If we look at my indicator here, the global SSO mode is in non-SSO mode, and we can see that that is set. SSO is not running on this particular system. While we're still in this mode, I'm going to go ahead and go to my configuration manager, and I'm going to show you what it looks like for the actual agent experience or in the Agent Explorer. So if we go to add an agent, we see at the top here, I do have my enable logins checkbox, which is standard, but you'll notice that the enable single sign-on box is grayed out, and I do have a flag here telling me that it is globally disabled. So this is not available to me because I have SSO currently turned off on the system. And if I go to add in a sample agent, I can see that it is enabling me to enter a password. And this is because SSO is off. Credentials will still be stored locally in the AW database, and so I'm going to be providing the login name as well as the password. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. I'm going to go back to my CCE administration, and I'm going to set us into hybrid mode. You'll notice on the left side, hybrid is active, and as that gets set up, we'll see this column on the right switch to hybrid mode, and I'll get green checkboxes indicating that that is complete. So if I go back now to my Agent Explorer, and I look at an agent, now I do have the ability to turn on and turn off single sign-on on a per agent basis. When this is not checked, single sign-on for this user is turned off, and I can still enter a password into the credentials, which would go into the AW database. When I turn SSO on, this becomes grayed out. I no longer have the ability to do that as I add in a new agent. We see that the password is grayed out. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this again. We'll go back, and now I want to show you full SSO mode. So we have the indicator on the left that says SSO, and as that gets established, the checkboxes on the right and the header change to SSO mode. I'm going to go ahead and log out now, as I am logged in here as administrator, and the next time that I come to this screen, I'm going to come as the supervisor, and we're going to see the actual user experience. So I'm going to completely exit out of that browser. I'm going to come back to the Agent Explorer. And now you'll notice that we have my Enable Single Sign-On flag, but it is checked and grayed out. So this is not something that I can change, and I have my flag here telling me that it is globally enabled. So SSO is here. The password possibility is grayed out as I go to add in a new agent. So I'm going to go ahead and add this agent, Supervisor 1. I'm going to make that agent a supervisor, and I'm going to save them. Now if we go into our UCC administration, I receive my username and password challenge. I'm going to go ahead and enter my credentials for Supervisor 1. The system knows that I'm in SSO mode, and because this is my first attempt, it's going to take me to the ADFS, and I'm going to go ahead and enter my credentials into ADFS. Once my credentials are connected with ADFS, I now am entitled to go and look at the other systems. And you'll notice here on the UCC administration screen, I am logged in as Supervisor 1, so it completed that login automatically for me. If I go ahead and click on CUIC, you'll notice that I immediately go into CUIC. I am logged in as Supervisor 1, and I'm ready to use the interface. And if I go and click on Finesse, I immediately am logged into the Finesse screen. I have my Supervisor 1 login, and I'm now ready to enter in my extension. So we've seen here SSO in SSO disabled mode. We've seen SSO running in hybrid mode, where I can turn SSO on and off on a per agent basis. And we've seen SSO running in a full SSO mode across the system. And we've seen how I can log in, make my credentials known to the ADFS, to the IDP, and then I have access immediately into UCC administration, Finesse, and CUIC without having to re-log in.